They told me buying a house would be the beginning of a new life. I just didn't realize how fast peace can turn into paranoia, how a quiet porch can turn into the front lines. 3 years ago, I sold a prototype to a Fortune 500 company, and after years of ramen, skepticism from my folks, and a marriage that dissolved in the slow cooker of maybe next year, I finally hit something close to a jackpot. Not billions, no jets or islands, but enough for something permanent, something that felt like it might actually last. So that's how I landed in Ridgeview Hills, a little suburb in Virginia that looked like it had been assembled by someone who got lost on Pinterest and just ran with it. And yeah, I bought my place just outside the lines of the neighborhood HOA, on purpose. I triple-checked maps, title records, even paid a lawyer to confirm, because I was done with anybody telling me how high my grass could be or what shade of beige my mailbox needed to be. I wanted peace. The house was this mid-century thing with a porch that wrapped all the way around, big enough for my dog Buster to imagine he was some kind of wild animal every time a squirrel dared to cross his path. Renovations became my therapy, new floors, wiring, drywall at 2 a.m. because sleep and I aren't always on speaking terms. And for a while, it was just that. Me, Buster, and a place nobody could take away. Then one Saturday, the knock came. Not a neighborly knock, not a delivery. This was that official, heavy, don't ignore me knock. I wiped my hands, opened the door, and there she was. Maybe 50, blonde bob that looked engineered, clipboard locked and loaded, smile like she'd practiced it in the mirror. Good morning. You must be Mr. Richards. I am, I said, eyeing the name tag. Karen Houston, president of Ridgeview Hills Homeowners Association. Here to welcome you. She launched straight into a sales pitch, clubhouse, pool, voting rights, all that jazz. I told her thanks, but no thanks, made it clear my property wasn't in their kingdom. Her smile got tighter, her words got colder. We're exploring an initiative to unify the Ridge line, voluntary at first, she said, like she was handing me a gift. I declined, polite but firm. She didn't budge, just left a thick envelope on my porch railing, marking territory. I tossed it in the recycling without opening it. But something about the way she scoped out my house, those clipboard eyes, it got under my skin. A few days later, I mentioned it to my neighbor across the street. Miss Doy, white curls, gardening gloves, that smell of peach pie somehow always around her. I said something about the HOA, and she got quiet, looked away like her house had betrayed her. My husband used to say this isn't a neighborhood, it's a slow-moving acquisition. One house at a time. She told me how they'd come for her husband. Offers, then threats, lawsuits, nuisance complaints. He fought them too hard, and one day he just didn't come back. She didn't finish the story, but she did say she'd put in a camera after that. If you ever need pie or proof, I got both, she told me, and I didn't know whether to laugh or shiver. Things went quiet for a bit. I finished up the kitchen, took Buster on long walks, actually started to think maybe that clipboard knock was just a one-off. Then, on a Wednesday, I'm out back working on outdoor lighting. Buster growls that low, warning growl. I come around the front, and, yep, there's Karen. Only now she's brought backup, 2 guys in HOA polos, one with a clipboard, the other with a digital measuring tool. Karen acts like nothing happened last time. We're conducting a property visual assessment, she says, all business. Your records of my property? I ask. She's unfazed. Several residents have expressed concerns about your renovations. The color of your garage, the placement of your bins. I actually laughed. Ma'am, I'm not in Ridgeview Hills. She smiles wider, says, zoning is fluid, Mr. Richards. Influence doesn't stop at lines on a map. I told them to leave, made it clear they were trespassing. Karen, not missing a beat, warns me about some subsection of an impact policy, says they'll be filing an incident report. That night, I get a letter. No envelope, just a folded notice. Violation of visual harmony standards, construction noise, improper waste bin placement, failure to respond to community integration efforts. I shredded it and fed it to the garbage disposal. That was just the start. More violations showed up. Vegetation overgrowth, which turned out to be a single dandelion. Visible interior clutter, which meant someone had been peeking through my windows. I started noticing a black SUV cruising by every evening. Then the rumors started, neighbors whispering. One even asked if I was hostile. So I called Janice, my lawyer. She said they were baiting me, trying to provoke a response they could use. Document everything. Don't give them a thing. But I should have listened harder. The next knock wasn't a knock. It was a battering ram. Two guys in HOA jackets, fists, boots, a baton to my ribs. They dragged me out, Buster barking, shoved me in a black SUV, pulled a canvas sack over my head. Drove me out somewhere. I couldn't tell you where. When the sack came off, I was in a shed in the woods, the smell of pine and gasoline in the air. They shoved a voluntary property transfer agreement in front of me, told me to sign. Sign, and you go home. Don't, and you stay. I scribbled something close, but not quite, just enough to buy time. They dumped me on a rural road. No phone, no shoes, bleeding and cold. I stumbled home, called Janice. She went straight to work. By noon, she'd found they'd already filed the transfer, forged my signature, tried to integrate my property into the HOA. But my sloppy fake signature was just enough to jam the gears. Janice filed for an injunction. The county put a hold on the transfer. When I got home, my porch light was smashed. The welcome mat was gone. On the gate, a wooden sign, property of Ridge View Hills Community. Miss Doy saw me standing there and came over with apple cobbler. I told her everything. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "You should come inside. There's something I never told anyone." And that's when the twist hit. Her husband didn't just die. He'd been fighting the HOA, too. He drowned in their pond. Navy vet, strong swimmer, but one night, he just didn't come back. After that, Doy put a camera in her birdhouse, motion activated, recording everything. Turns out, the night they dragged me out, the whole thing was caught from two angles. The faces, the SUV, the time codes, everything. Janice and I took it straight to the police. Detective Alvaro watched it all, stone-faced. Then he sent subpoenas to the HOA, and suddenly Karen and her board were on the hot seat. The men who dragged me out? One was a former cop, the other an ex-con, both working compliance for multiple HOAs. The shed was owned by Karen's cousins LLC. And as the investigation unraveled, it turned out my case wasn't the first. 7 homes had been taken the same way, all voluntarily integrated into the HOA, all after violation notices and community outreach. The media picked it up, a man abducted by HOA compliance officers, forced property transfers, the whole suburb suddenly under a microscope. Karen gave interviews denying everything. The real twist? Miss Doy recorded a strange woman visiting her porch, asking about cameras. Doy got her license plate and sent it to Janice. Now the HOA was spooked. Every lock in my house got double-checked, every window, every curtain. That's when I started digging. County records, HOA expansion plans, property transfers. They had a 4-phase plan to take over every unincorporated home, full with cost projections and expected resistance. My name was right there, Target E, Richards, Phase 3. The DA froze their assets, suspended operations, and assigned a court trustee to review every property transfer. Karen was served in the courthouse hallway, finally looked shaken. And then the floodgates opened. Other homeowners came forward. One convinced she owed due she didn't. Another threatened with fake code violations. Karen's operation wasn't just some suburban dictatorship, it was organized fraud. The trial went public. Footage of me being dragged, the fake documents, ex-cop and ex-con flipping for reduced sentences. Miss Doy testified. She told how Karen came by with a sympathy basket after her husband's death and a blank property transfer form. Janice pulled it all together, the fraud, the shell companies, the coercion. Karen's lawyers called it community zeal gone wrong. Nobody bought it. Verdict day, the judge read out guilty on every charge. Kidnapping, coercion, fraud, conspiracy, obstruction, even accessory to manslaughter in Doy's husband's death. Karen got 25 years, no parole for 18. Taylor, the ex-cop, got 16. Hunt, the ex-con, 15 and banned from anything housing-related for life. The HOA was dissolved, its assets liquidated, most of it paid as restitution. I sued civilly, won $2.8 million, but the money didn't matter. The real win was the peace. A few weeks after, Doy came over again with pie. We sat and talked, really talked, about husbands, startups, second chances. "You ever think about moving somewhere quieter?" she asked. I laughed. Thought this was supposed to be the quiet place. But in the end, we found a real one together. A farmhouse, no HOA, just trees, stars, a creek out back. I built a swing for Buster. Doy bakes. I finished writing that book I always talked about. We got married in the spring under a sugar maple. Our son was born that fall, Grayson, named for the color of the sky the day we moved in. Because sometimes life gets murky, but truth still matters. Justice isn't always fast, but it comes, like a neighbor with pie and a plan. An HOA life? Let's just say our neighborhood meetings now involve fire pits, dogs, and not a single damn clipboard in sight. So, tell me, if this were your street, your house, your family, how far would you go to fight for it? Where's the line between community and control? Drop your thoughts below. Because after everything, I gotta ask, what would you have done?